Well, our friend Tom Mc Shea is here because he's going to show us off Child of Light from Ubisoft Montreal, creators of other side-scrolling
Far Cry
tactical
3.
games like Assassin's Creed and Tom Clancy stuff. Child of Light, on the other hand, this game is looking much more like in the Rayman vein of video games.
Well, one look at it makes it clear that it's the spiritual successor to Child of Eden, obviously, because we're raving through space-time.
Tom Mc Shea, explain this video game to me.
It is a video game that is kind of like a fairy tale, and that you fight wolves.
Classic fairy tale thing. So yeah, this is, well, how much focus is this going to require for you? Because this is like the battle system, but you seem like you're pretty overpowered.
This is active time battle. This is like, you could do this in your own time, right? This is, this is turn-based. You're not hitting buttons.
No, this is like.
Oh no, sorry. Active time battle is literally the antithesis of that.
Yes, this is like.
Active time battle, like a buzzword from some game from like a decade ago.
ATB is the Final Fantasy system in most Final Fantasy games.
Sure. So this is the melding of, let's say, Final Fantasy.
No, it's actually
early
Grandia.
Final Fantasy or Grandia.
It's actually Grandia, yeah.
But inside of this side-scrolling Outer Worlds.
Absolutely gorgeous, ethereal storybook world. It does come out of a studio you wouldn't necessarily expect, but Ubisoft does do these like quiet artistic games sometimes, and that's something I really like from them.
So what is it about Child of Light specifically that's got you all gushy about it?
It's almost the opposite of gushy. So it's really quiet and sad and contemplative, and it's just like contemplative, and it's just like very different from the type of stuff that I normally play and I normally see. And I just really got into it because I thought it was going to be, because it's colorful.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be one of them lighthearted, like kid games, and I love those too. But it's not like that at all. It's like really somber.
In terms of like the minute to minute or the story that's...
The tone.
Okay.
The tone of it, like the music and the artistic design and the storytelling, like all that stuff is really just, it's melancholy is like the main mood of this game. If you got any questions for Tom at all, send them in via the usual means on Twitch, at GameSpot, or in the GameSpot comments. Sorry, you were saying. So the combat is actually not like that though. Like it's really fast-paced and frantic because, like, so your moves are like you can see yourself at the top of the bar. Those are my characters, and the bottom of the bar is the enemy characters, and you're kind of racing to the end of the bar to attack.
Okay.
So it's all like speed and timing and making sure your enemy can't attack before you. So it's kind of the opposite of how the rest of the game feels, but it kind of makes sense too because it's like this is the one time when like the world isn't like a sad place. This is like when they're empowered finally.
Yeah, and at the end there's triumphant music, but there's it's not just sort of waiting your turn. It's when you move your little blue firefly dude, you can like slow an enemy, so you're manipulating where the enemies are on the timeline, and you can, if you hit them during the cast phase, you interrupt them and prevent them from attacking. So there's it, like, obviously Tom now is sort of playing with a character that's super powerful and these monsters are posing no threat, but I've played the first like hour and a half of the game, and I haven't been like smote down in battle, but it is tense, and I do feel like there is this this tension, this challenge to it that it's a very different kind of energy than when you're just exploring the world.
Yeah, and it becomes a very different, like, interesting game. It's like the emotions that it gave me.
I'm gonna dip into some questions here. Goob Shoe Ride asks, what system is this on? You're playing on the Xbox One, correct?
Yes, that was what we got early. It was Xbox One. It's also on PS3, PS4, PC, Wii U.
Xbox 360?
Xbox 360, there you go. Everything.
Wishful Star on Twitch asked, please tell me this is coming out on Vita.
Can you believe this is not coming out on Vita?
Really?
Because, like, this would be perfect on Vita.
Yeah,
right?
It would work totally well on Vita.
And I want it on Vita because then I would play through it and get 100% on Vita.
Well, did Rayman Legends come out at the same time as the other releases on Vita?
Yes, it did.
Okay. The reason I reference that, for those of you who maybe don't know, it's like, is it not? I don't know if it's the same studio, but it's the same like engine.
Yeah,
it's the UbiArt framework, which is basically like a developer's engine they created to allow artists to sort of prototype games, because it's it starts with the art, and then you take the character and animate it a little bit and then build the world around them. So if you do see similarities to the Rayman Origins Legends games, rightfully so, it's sort of the same creative process, and they've got another one announced, I think, that's a World War I era game.
Oh yeah, what's that called again?
It's called Valiant Hearts: The Great War, and I believe they showed a trailer for it. Maybe it wasn't E3 last year, but
no, that's not an E3.
Sometime more recently, and it's a totally different artistic style, but still has the same kind of storybook feel, for lack of a better word, which is really interesting because it's a kind of game that it's action based too, because you kind of think of artistic driven games, and I would think of like a Broken Age, like we were talking about before, an adventure type game. But this, you actually have these mechanics of exploration and combat and such as that.
Yeah, it's also kind of interesting to see this stuff coming out of a major studio as well. This type of game. I want to ask quickly. Eminem Stranger's asking, is this an easy role playing game?
Well, like Chris was saying, like on medium, I felt the same way as you, where like I wasn't losing battles, but I always felt like I could lose battles.
Yeah, you felt threatened, and so it's you don't just feel like you're. I didn't feel like I was just romper stompering everybody.
Yeah, it felt like I beat every boss by the skin of my teeth, basically, and it wasn't. That wasn't actually true, but it always felt like they could beat me at any time.
Heap Gamers asked, does this game have co-op?
Yes.
Sakatume has asked, how does the co-op work? So I'm guessing there is some sort of...
So there is co-op, and you can see that I have my blue companion, who's not named Ignatius. Igniculus. So he comes with me at all times, and I control him with the right stick, but if I had a friend, my friend would be able to control that, and it's a local thing. It's kind of Mario Galaxy style, where it's like if you have a younger sibling, or you have a younger child, or you just someone who's interested in this world and the characters and the art, but doesn't necessarily want to do all the heavy lifting. Like it's a really great companion.
Well, who would be content to be like kind of participant, but mostly a spectator?
Yeah.
Like that's a niche that is not only filled by children. We'll say that.
Yes.
Or poor younger siblings who will never get a chance to play as the main character because their older sibling just won't let them.
No.
We've all been there.
Thai Space Hall asks, does Child of Light explain its combat mechanics well at the beginning? Is this type of game where you need to have played those old games? Or
no, not at all. This is very friendly for people who don't really know those games.
Yeah, it ramps up really easily, and it sort of builds these systems of like, the different attacks you have, and you also have spells, and you can also defend, and so you also use potions. There's more, going on there than Tom needs to employ now, but
I can't really see the screen as well with the words.
So you just go with the straight up attack.
So I'm just going with the straight up attack.
But there's magic spells, and like your different actions take a certain amount of time, and monsters can interrupt you if you're not careful. So all that stuff, is smartly paced and well explained.
Yeah. Also, this game's pretty.
It's gorgeous. I was just about to say, what's going on?
It's kind of insanely good looking.
It's really pretty.
The animation on her is wonderful as well.
I know. It's just such a lovely game.
Look at
I'm so glad that it exists.
How long did it take you to complete it? Not to ask us stupidly obvious questions.
Oh, that's a fun question. We could really get into that. Do you want to get into that?
Without spoiling anything?
I think it took me about 15 hours. If I played this on Vita, it would have probably taken me about 20 or so hours to do everything.
Why that? Why?
Because I haven't done everything.
Oh, you would have.
Sorry.
But I would have done everything on the Vita.
Okay.
I didn't have a chance for the review purposes. It's also just a game I wanted to.
Wait, not Vita.
Why would you have done everything on the Vita, but you didn't on the Xbox One?
When I play Vita games, it's like 100%.
Why?
Oh, really?
Is it just because you have like a huge commute?
OCD.
That's all you can do.
Because I commute for 2 hours a day.
So if you're playing it on your personal time, basically is what you're saying. You would have hundoed it.
Yeah, I would have 100%ed this game, and I really want to.
Hundoed.
Speaking of hundos, Mouser Madness asks how much grinding is required in it.
None.
Zero grinding.
Zero grinding. I did not grind at all. In the beginning.
Did you bump?
A little bit.
All right.
A little bit. I did fight most enemies that I saw. As you can see, the combat is kind of optional for the most part.
Yeah, you can
I did fight most of the enemies that I saw, but it is not grinding. It is not like Final Fantasy X that I'm currently stuck in, because you have to grind in that game.
Oh, people were recommending me that I play that as a better Final Fantasy. I don't want to grind.
Okay, so I got to the end boss in that game, and then I had to grind. So I don't know if I'm ever going to finish that game.
Oh, wow.
the end boss is not the finish of that game, or you have to grind to finish the
Yeah, I
end boss.
couldn't finish the end boss.
That's annoying. Canadian SP31 asks a question on the face of it maybe is a little strange considering this game, but then I remember it's made by Ubisoft. Will Child of Light have lots of DLC?
I don't know how they would do DLC. I mean, it's
Is it done and dusted?
It's a complete story. I don't expect to ever see a sequel. I don't expect to ever see DLC. I think this is a singular adventure that just stands on its own. But we'll see. Maybe I could be wrong. I kind of just hope it is.
I mean,
it's just like that kind of game.
How frequent is like platformer DLC?
This is not a platformer.
Okay, you're right. It's a two-dimensional. What would you call it? An RPG?
It's technically an RPG. I didn't mention the genre in my review because it just didn't
Fit anything?
I didn't feel it was necessary. But
Okay.
yeah, this is by our definitions just an RPG.
So what would the DLC then be? Like an extra little adventure, a new area?
What was what was the game
New character?
that Epic released? Xbox 360 side-scrolling. Remember that one?
Totally blanking
That
on it.
one. Yeah,
we're
I
both.
feel like that had extra missions.
Are you talking about
Shadow Complex?
Shadow Complex?
Yeah, the Shadow Complex
That
and
didn't have
DLC.
any DLC. You just brought up something completely unrelated.
Maybe-
Different genre, different company, and didn't have DLC. Thanks, Danny.
God, thanks for making my job easy, Tom
Damn.
McShay.
Sorry.
All right,
Shea
that's-
bites back.
Well, then that's the end of the Child of Light demo.
no,
We're done.
no, shut it
down.
We're done. That's it. It's all right.
Oh, Danny. Oh, man.
So it's really good game. Is your review up already?
Yeah, it's up. It gave it an 8. I think it's great.
I'm enjoying it.
that
so
Really
rhymes.
unnecessary to say that.
It rhymed. It was great as well. It's perfect.
Yeah.